So this is the first Irish review of the Sanlida Dragon X8 compound bow. Well, I say first, possibly the first. I haven't seen one online, and when I was getting into archery, I found it quite hard to find any channels or videos about compound bows or archery in Ireland. So maybe it's not the first, maybe it is, but this is my review of the Sanlida Dragon X8 compound bow. This is her here. So I suppose start at the beginning. This is a full package. You get everything you need with this to start shooting on day one in the box. You obviously get the bow itself. It comes with a 5-pin sight. I have removed 2 of the pins because I like to use only 3 pins. The distances I shoot at requires only 3 pins. It comes with the rest, the arrow rest there. It also comes with a stabilizer for balancing the bow. It actually comes with a wrist sling as well, which, as it says, goes around your wrist and actually is secured in behind the stabilizer. And what that's for is to stop you dropping the bow, mainly when you shoot it, in case the force of it kind of drags it away from you. I don't use it. I find it a bit cumbersome. The axle to axle, which is from here, the middle of this cam to the middle of that cam, is 30 inches, so it's a nice size. It's made out of aluminium alloy, so it has a nice strong feel to it. The grip here is good, is comfortable, easy to hold. It has a bit of weight to it, but that's okay. It has a nice strong feel. I think it's a good solid bow. The limbs, the bow is actually Chinese made, and yes, it is mass produced, and that's why they can make them so cheap. Now when I say cheap, I'm talking it still will cost you probably between 250 and 300 euro to buy this, you know. So cheap depends on how you feel about it. I think it's still quite a bit of money, but compared to other, especially high-end bows out there that can cost you 1,000, 1,200, 1,500, some are even 2,000. This is cheap, but it's not cheaply made, despite it being mass produced. And they actually use American-made limbs. You can look this up. It's the limbs are, the manufacturer of the limbs are Gordon Lewis or something like that, but you can look it up. But they actually make limbs for some of the top end bows, like hunting bows, professional hunting bows. So the limbs on this are good, solid bows. This has a lot of versatility to it. You're going to need, if you're getting into archery, you're going to need to establish two things, which is your draw weight, which is the power at which the bow fires, and at which you can draw the bow. That depends on your individual strength. And this ranges from, they say, 10 to 15 pound up to 70 pound. Now at 70 pound, that's hunting grade power. That's you are stopping fairly decent game with that. Note, you cannot hunt with a bow in Ireland. It is illegal. Don't ever try it, and that's for good reason. If you're hunting in Ireland, you have to be able to get a humane kill, and it has to be for a solid, good reason, and you have to be licensed and certified and all that kind of stuff. You cannot hunt with a bow in Ireland. So if you're thinking of getting a compound bow, it's because you want to practice in your backyard. Another important point, when I say backyard, my backyard, I have a lot of space. I'd highly recommend you do not get one of these. If you are living in a housing estate and you have a small back garden, this is not something you should be getting. You don't know where those arrows are going to go. You miss a target. You don't know what's behind. You don't know. It could go through a fence. You don't know where it's going to go. So it doesn't even bear thinking about. So it's just a big no-no. If you absolutely want one of these to practice and get into it, join an archery club. They'll accommodate you there with regards to teaching you and putting you through your paces and giving you proper professional mentorship and tutoring you and showing you everything you need to know about form and all the technical details of a bow. I don't deal in that sort of stuff. I'm a backyard archer, and I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert, that I'm a professional, and you certainly should not be taking my advice as cast iron. I'm giving you my views and my opinions. What you do with that is up to you. But as a backyard archer with the space to do it and a safe environment in which to do it, I can tell you that this is a decent bow. You do not need to be spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of euro. It's a good solid bow. You can adjust the draw weight that I was explaining by loosening. You can decrease the draw weight by loosening these limbs simultaneously. And similarly, you can increase the draw weight by tightening them up. This goes up to, as I say, to 70 pound. I am not drawing 70 pound. I have this set to about 40 pound, which is comfortable for me, from where I can hold it. And this is now called, what some archers call, the back wall. When you draw the bow and you anchor this point here, wherever you anchor for stability, that's called the back wall. This is your anchor. It has a nice comfortable feel for it. And I can hold that indefinitely, quite easily. That's comfortable. For me, you have to find your own comfortable draw weight. Another thing you have to establish is your draw length depending on the span of your arms. It differs for lots of people. I have mine set to 28, which I think is a fairly common arm span on it. It comes with a set of arrows as well. They're not the greatest arrows, but they certainly do for backyard archery. Let's face it, folks, I'm not trying to compete in any tournaments. I'm not looking to become a master. I'm not looking to train for the Olympics. So, you know, if you're into archery or if you're into compound bows, you scour YouTube for videos, you'll see a lot of videos, a lot of them in America, and these guys are pro archers and they are hunters, and so their equipment, their bows and everything that attaches to it are of top quality and cost a lot of money, and these fellas practice a lot of them day in, day out. They know what they are doing. We don't do that here. We don't. I certainly don't require the same specs of in a bow. I want something that is solid, is affordable, and works. And the Sanlida Dragon is that. I do have other bows. I had a bow before this, which was cheaper again, but in my opinion, just as solid, and I used for probably a year and was quite happy with it, and I can show you that in another video. What do I use this for? Target wise, range wise, I'm on average I'm looking at about 45 to 50 feet, and I'm hitting paper, as they call it, every time. By hitting paper, what they mean is the target. I have it on a big, dense foam backboard that the arrows can't penetrate. So, and I have 40 centimeter by 40 centimeter paper targets, and I am hitting paper, as they say, every time. I don't focus on hitting the bullseye every time. Of course, that's what I aim for. And if I get it, I get it, and I do get it sometimes. But if I don't, it's no biggie. As I say, I'm not training for the Olympics. So every hitting a paper target that's 40 centimeters by 40 centimeters from about 50 feet is good enough for me. Whatever way you live your life and whatever reasons you have for owning these kind of things, and these are a weapon, make no mistake about it. These are not toys, they're not a gimmick. These are serious pieces of kit. This is a weapon, and a dangerous weapon. So whatever your reason for owning one, a lot of people, for example, will have them even if they're not hunters, if they're not part of archery clubs and all that kind of stuff. They have them, especially in rural areas. They have them. I have heard for what you might call a situation if society ever breaks down. They want some kind of defense. Now, rightly or wrongly, it gives them that peace of mind, and they practice, and it gives them a sense of security, I suppose, you know, for if the worst case scenario ever happens. I'm not advocating using these on anybody. Obviously, if you want to get into hypothetical situations, suppose I'm a bit of a prepper. I like to plan ahead, and I like to be ready for whatever comes. Do I think society will ever go that way? I think it has the potential to. I wouldn't write it off. I wouldn't say no, that's never going to happen. The way the world is today, yeah, anything could happen. So yeah, I like to be prepared, security wise and defensive, and I practice with these, and I make sure that I am at least hitting paper from 50 feet. And with the likes of the Sanlida Dragon, you can easily do that. I'm not sponsored by these or anybody else. So these are just bows that I own, and I think it's interesting from an Irish point of view to have these reviews out there. Would I recommend buying it? Yeah, 100%. There are others just as solid, and they might not have the same spec. They might be a bit smaller, axle to axle. The other one I bought, for example, the very first one I had, actually comes with a 3-pin sight, which is pretty much just like this, which does me. This was a 5-pin sight, and I took 2 of the pins out because I only like to use 3 of them. This sight actually comes with, I don't know if you can see, a little spirit level and a little LED light to highlight what you're doing. It's a bit fiddly, to be quite honest. I think it might be a bit gimmicky, that lighten the pins up, you know. But like I say, you know, at this price point, you can't really go wrong. You know, if you just want to practice safely, this is a pretty good bow. When you fire a bow and you release with compound bows, you normally have a release aid, which would sit around your wrist, for example, and has a trigger mechanism which you clip on to this loop, which is called the D loop. This comes on the bow, as does the peep sight there. I'll explain that in a minute. You clip your trigger mechanism onto the D loop, you draw back, and then when you hit the trigger, it releases the bowstring, fires the arrow. At the full draw weight of 70 pounds, this is claiming that it can fire at 310 feet per second. I would well believe it. This is a powerful little unit. At 35, 40 pound, I'm probably getting 220, 230 feet per second, which is still some serious speed. And bear in mind, I'm only firing at a range of about 50 feet. That's my comfortable kind of setup. So yes, the bow comes with the D loop attached. That will require another video of how to tie these D loops on if you don't have one. And the peep sight, what the peep sight is for is when you draw the bow to fire, this peep sight, I'll try and show you it in the camera now. It's a little black loop circle. What you do is you literally peep through that, and then whatever pin on the sight you're using, you look at that sight through this peep sight, like so. Never ever dry fire one of these. Dry fire means drawing it back and releasing it with no arrow attached, because you can damage the bow and you can crack these limbs. You can weaken them, you can compromise them, and you run the risk then of the bow at any given stage, when you are in full draw, of it just cracking and imploding completely, and that just is dangerous, you know, to you, and obviously the bow is it's game over for it. So never draw it back. Fire without an arrow. Don't dry fire it. Stabilizer is, yeah, it's good quality. You know, just adds a little bit of balance to the bow. And yes, I'm very happy with it. To adjust the draw length, you simply use Allen keys provided to set your draw length. It's marked out here, and the instruction manual that comes, it tells you where to adjust it to on these cams for whatever draw weight you feel comfortable with. A lot of other bows, a lot of high-end bows requires you to have what's called a bow press, which you mount the bow in and you can adjust, and it allows you to change all these settings whilst the bow is held and gripped, and you can increase the tension on a bow press and decrease it. And a lot of these lower priced bows are actually designed so that you can do it just here, just, you know, on a table, and you can do it by hand. So a lot of versatility, and in my opinion, you get a good bow for a good price. It's good for beginners, it's good for intermediate. I've seen a lot of reviews in America where hunters would say they would use this for hunting, especially at the top end of its draw weight, which is 70 pounds, which is a great testament to the bow. I will never use it for that. I'll never need it for that. But it's good to know that for this price range, you get a serious piece of kit. So that's it, folks. That's the Sanlida Dragon X8. With regards to firing it, well, as you can see, I'm inside today, displaying this because the weather is not playing ball today, and here in the west of Ireland it is midge season, and if you live in the countryside of Ireland, you'll know what I'm talking about. Step outside, get eaten alive. But the weather's not with us anyway today, so but what I will do is I will do another video on firing this, and you can see for yourself and get a sense of the power and the ability of it. Okay, folks, hope you enjoyed that. See you later.